Hello, everyone. I'm Kenny Potter, president of ECS Publishing Group, and I am so excited today to have Emily Crocker with us. She is one of our composers, but she has been composing for a number of years, at least a few years, and had a profound impact as a composer, but also as an educator in the choral community across the country and even beyond. So, Emily, welcome. Glad you're with us.
Thank you, Kenny. I'm glad to be here. Nice to see you.
Yes. And so we just have a few questions to share with the viewers. First of all, just share a little bit about your journey and your background.
You could have said I've been composing for a few decades. That would have been more accurate, probably. But I've done just about everything there is to do in choral music. But I will start by saying that I had great training and wonderful mentors at the University of North Texas, and then all the way up through all my teaching and everything else. So I taught at all levels from kindergarten all the way through collegiate level. And I founded a couple of choirs, Milwaukee Children's Choir and the Vocal Arts Academy while I was in Milwaukee. I've been composing since, well, probably my first piece was published in 1980, and I've been composing since then. The biggest part of my career, though, after teaching was in publishing. And I was lucky enough to work for Hal Leonard. And at that company, I did a lot of different things, but I eventually became the vice president of choral publications. So I was in charge of composers and editors, and I got a chance to meet a lot of people and build the catalog. I like to think that's what I did because we expanded what we offered from beyond popular music, pop music, to a sort of a full-fledged catalog of concert music and instructional materials and all kinds of things. So that was a significant part of my career. I also got a chance to work with other publishers that we distributed, like Boozy and Hawks and G. Shermer, and then eventually Henshaw and some others. But the best part of that job was getting to meet and work with composers, discovering composers, and have a chance to help them build their careers. Now
Um,
okay.
Well, no, I want to jump in. I want to jump
Okay.
in because I know you remember a few years ago, I met you for the first time and we were judging at a festival together. And you started sharing stories. And I was blown away when you shared about your working with this young composer who came on, kind of burst onto the scene in 1995 at the Washington ACDA National Conference. You wanted to share a little bit more about him?
Yeah, that composer was Moses Hogan. And, Moses had been working and arranging, but he wasn't that well known outside of New Orleans and the Deep South. But it turned out that he was going to be or one of his pieces was going to be performed at the Texas All State Choir, and they needed it to be published. So anyway, he was trying to kind of self-publish it out of his garage, and they said, "Well, he really needs to." So somebody from Texas called me and said, "Could you call him and talk to him?" Which I did. And I explained the publishing business to him. And so he faxed me the music. That's the way it was back then. And I said, "We'll publish it." And he says, "Well, I have some more music." And I said, "We'll publish that too."
Wow.
That could have been something that might have gotten me fired in another situation. But it turned out that those pieces, we had multiple copies in print. So when he performed at the Washington, D.C. ACDA, we were mobbed with people looking for Moses Hogan music. So I had
Well,
a little bit to do with that. So,
and I remember that event. And yes, that was the talk of the convention. That's cool. And just for folks, Emily has tons more stories like that. But that's one of my favorites. So another composer and author who you write with and know well is John Jacobson. Share a little bit more about collaborations, including recent collaborations with
yeah,
John.
right, right. Well, I met John at Hal Leonard in the early 90s. And John, of course, was at that time in the sort of in the show choir Disney world. And so he came on as part of our marketing team and would help us present our new music, especially our popular music. And we were also at that time trying to develop a catalog of music for elementary singers and classrooms. And John was just so creative. I said, what if we were to work together on developing music for kids? And so he was open to it, and he's a very talented writer and lyricist. And so early on, John and I collaborated on some musicals together. The most popular one probably was a musical based on Rudyard Kipling's The Elephant's Child, which a lot of people know that story. It's very popular. But then John kind of went off on his own and he wrote a lot of musicals and collaborated with a couple of with Mac Huff and with John Higgins and Roger Emerson and some other folks. And he single-handedly practically built our elementary catalog. And then as part of that process, we together started John Jacobson's Music Express, which was a music magazine, which came out 6 times a year. We did that for about 20 years. And John was the central focus of that. He wrote songs, he wrote stories, he presented, he created choreography. He was our man. He was our man at conventions, and it was a tremendously successful project. Since then, since I retired, John also has left Hal Leonard and is branching out a little bit to publish with some different sources and do his own thing. But he and I have collaborated on some music together, more traditional choral music. And so we have a couple of pieces with ECS. One that's available now is called Horizon. And then we've published some other pieces with various publishers. What we're really interested right now is we're doing a series of pieces based around artwork. So paintings. So we've done Thomas Hart Benton, the mural America Today. And we've done something you know about, Kenny, which is the girl with the pearl earring. And
Yep.
we've done,
Waiting.
yeah,
Yep.
Waiting. It's called Waiting. It'll be out hopefully soon. And then we're working on,
It'll be out actually by the time this video comes out, it's going to be out. And we have actually just recorded it in Charlotte. So yeah, yeah, it's a lovely piece.
and then we're working on a new one, which I won't talk about right now. So it's been fun to work with John. He's
Very.
so talented and so creative, and it's nice to work with him in a different way, in a little more sophisticated way, but a lot of fun.
And you have also Winter Eve with us. And you're setting a Shady Grove, which is in multiple voicings. Anything about Shady Grove that you want to share?
Well, Shady Grove is an Appalachian song, and that's kind of my roots. My family is from Eastern Kentucky. And so while I didn't really know the song, I knew the style of music. And so I always loved the song after I learned it in my teaching days. I always thought I would write a reflective, quiet arrangement, but I didn't. I wrote a
Mhm.
very up-tempo arrangement that is kind of rollicking from start to finish.
I will tell you, I absolutely love that setting. I think it works really, really well for the voices. It's fun, interesting. So I would highly recommend folks check out Shady Grove. Anything else you want to, what are some of your favorite titles or composers in the C. Schirmer Galaxy catalog?
Well, I was thinking about that this morning, and it's been a while since I conducted, and I'm just getting to know the catalog now that I'm published with ECS. But I remembered back to a piece I conducted with my women's choir when I was in Milwaukee, which is the Gwyneth Walker "I Will Be Earth," which is a gorgeous piece, and they loved it and they sounded so beautiful on it. And I said, "Oh, I would love to be able to write this way." And then, of course, there's Randall Thompson. I mean, Velvet Shoes was my go-to piece for beginning choirs. And Frostiana, I actually did that with my youth choir, which was fun because it's a piece I sang in high school. And to introduce it to them was very rewarding to have that experience. Recent pieces that I've enjoyed learning about, haven't performed any of them because I don't have a choir, but there's the piece by Philip Sylvie, three pieces, Help, Thanks, and Wow. I
Yeah.
love those and I love the style. I feel like he has a wonderful way of reaching the emotions of his singers and through the music. So I really love that. And then I'm excited to see what you have coming out with some new series with Eugene Rogers and Craig Hella Johnson. And I hear Carrie Tennant is coming down the road here. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about that. I was able to work with all three of those folks in the past. So I'm excited to see what they might have coming now.
Yeah, all of them have pieces coming out in the fall. So the series are already up and running, and we have pieces that are finished and ready to go be uploaded into the fall. And then we already have the queue for next year. So lots of really great things happening. And something I'll just say is that I'm trying to make sure everybody knows ECS Publishing Group represents EC Shermer, which is a little bit more on the advanced side, and then Galaxy, which is very clearly middle school, high school, even into college. And then we have Morningstar, which is the church music market. Well, listen, it's been great to spend some time with you, Emily, and you look great. And I'm sure we'll be seeing each other sometime soon.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. It's great to see you. And thanks to everybody that's listening.
All right. Thanks so much, Emily.
Bye bye.
Bye.